Oh, looks like we started a little early. That's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nick Talks. We're gonna jump right into. My camera has this thing where if I put my hand up, it starts. So I think that I was reaching around here and it started, but that's okay because we were gonna start it off. Anywho, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that last video that I actually just recorded probably 30 seconds ago, and I'm just jumping right into. And yes, I did change outfits because obviously I'm not going to wear the same thing 2 videos in a row. I'm not a monster. But I hope everyone's doing well. This should come out Sunday. On Sunday. Today is Sunday. Not really. Today's Wednesday. But part of our new weekly, twice bi-weekly release schedule. Cool. So thank you for watching so much. And with that being said, let's jump into the meat here. Back to the OG style. We had a little bit of a break there because we were doing our experiment overview and conclusions and whatnot. But we're back to the juicies now. So, with that being said, all that long intro there. Let's jump in. So, this first one here is, you don't always have to cut your friends in. Now, I have grown up very fortunately with pretty much the same group of people my whole life. Obviously, many of them have fallen off, but at least at its core, it is largely the same. And so I have a pretty supportive base of friends that I would call brothers. But regardless of that, regardless of how close you are with your peers, when going into business or when going into some sort of creative endeavor or something like that, it's, at least for me, it's always first nature to want to cut them in and to, hey, let's do this together. Let's start this off and let's, have fun and make a bunch of money together and have a great time doing it. But I've noticed that it isn't quite the best. And especially because when getting into business, you're now dealing with money. And when you deal with money, things can get a little hairy. And when you're dealing with effort and group work and stuff like that, that is unorganized by an outside force, meaning that those within the group have to pioneer and push everything that they want to get done, and they have to get it done. Otherwise, it doesn't get done, right? And I've learned that it's better, especially when you're starting out. You're just getting into, hey, I want to start a business. Hey, I want to create something, a film, an art project, a fashion line, whatever. I'd say that it's, in the beginning especially, I could be wrong about this, but it seems as though it is much better to start things on your own, and you have much less dependency and whatnot. And the more people you have starting out is the more opinions that you have to hear, and the more schedules you got to work around, right? The more people that you have to figure into financial decisions, the more people you have to, hope are accountable. And if they're not, then you have to get on them, and you have to, now instead of going to your friend and talking about funny stuff that you guys did over the weekend, you have to go to them and say, hey, listen, motherfucker, you're not doing your work. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It just changes the dynamic of a relationship. And if you have a very healthy, partnership with someone, then it can work. Obviously it's been done. It's been done many times in the past successfully. But I would say, especially just starting out, it might be a better option to just go it alone. And I've learned this at least twice. I guess you can consider it 3 times, but in any endeavor, I guess, because one of them isn't business. For example, tried starting a t-shirt company with a couple friends, very close friends, and it was a pretty awesome idea. And we were, getting some good stuff going. And then one of the friends just wasn't putting work in, was not prioritizing. We were trying to have weekly meetings, and there was always something else that he had better to do. and it made it difficult to plan things out and get things done. And so, we just end up, okay, I'll just work on my stuff while you're doing your own thing. And then, it started becoming where there was like a lack of effort from the same person, and it seemed disproportional work balance. And then, the other two partners had to kind of confront this person and say, listen, dude, like this, we got to fix shit here. This is not really working. And then eventually, if I remember correctly, it kind of came to a head, and we just decided, you know what, why don't we just put it on hold for now? We've got a bunch of the designs worked up, we've got a bunch of the research done. Why don't, that stuff can stay on the shelf, and it's okay. We're not really losing anything. The work is already done. Why don't we just save it for when we're better equipped to handle this, right? And so we did. We hung it up, and that was that. But there was, I know I always thought that, if you get along with people, then it's just going to work out in a business setting. But that's not quite the case, because not everyone is as self-motivated and as driven as others to complete tasks when somebody isn't over their shoulder telling them to do it, or their grades don't depend on it, or money, whatever. So that was kind of my first lesson. And then I would say another lesson was when the first time I wanted to move. I really wanted to change my life, and I wanted to get a new space and scenery and just change everything. I wanted to change my surroundings and go somewhere that I'd never been. And so I pitched this idea to a friend, and I said, listen, I know I've had a lot of, because I get pretty manic often, where like, especially when I am imbibing, I get like a fucking idea, and I'm like, man, this is the greatest idea ever. We should really chase this down. And sometimes it is a really great idea, but I'm in no position to be talking about it at that moment. And so but this time I was completely sober. I was completely lucid. And I said, hey, I want to move. This is where we could go. This is the plan that we can have. And I'm very serious about this, and I want to do it. And, I know for a fact that we can make it work. Like, just the two of us, dog. Like, it'd be okay. And, shit doesn't work out, we come back. It's all good. But, we might as well try. And he was like, all right, I'll think about it. And, as soon as somebody says that, it's like, it's not happening. And so that was the other, and that stopped me from moving. Because, moving alone is kind of scary, especially if you don't really have any financial connections. You don't really have someone that can back you up in case you fail. And so I just didn't for a while. And so there's another lesson there of, I was creating a dependency on this person, and because I was dependent on their actions, it didn't work out, right? Now, about a year later, returned to the t-shirt company with a new partner. So it was originally 3, and then one of them fell off, and then we reintroduced another one who's already been into the clothing business, and it was actually really exciting for us all to pair up because it made so much sense, right? And then, work was proportionate. It seemed to be going pretty good. Weekly meetings were regular, and everyone was prioritizing them. And then the equipment broke, and our machine kind of died out, and then almost immediately after that, it was like, enthusiasm gone. Meetings were like not a whole lot of conversation happening. Seemed as though people were very uninterested, and regardless of any work that got done, there was just no excitement. There was no passion for it anymore, because without the machinery, there's only so much because some people, their job was pretty much only to test and get good at using the machinery. So if that stuff doesn't work, all of their roles are gone, right? So shortly after that, again, we hung it back up on the shelf, and it has sat there for a while. But which is okay, because I think we were all just like, dude, why don't we just put this thing to bed for now, and then when we're actually serious about it and we have the time and the capability and the financial ability to sink our teeth back into this sucker, then, we can do so. But, we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, the point being is that in all of these things, I tried to immediately jump into business with people that I'm familiar with, and it ended up being a mistake. It ended up being a mistake, not saying that they are horrible people, not saying that they're not, my friends anymore, not saying any of these things, but just saying that as far as a business partnership goes, it is a very different relationship dynamic than a personal relationship, right? And so I think that if you're considering starting something, especially if it's only your idea, like if you come up with the idea and you come up with the plan, I think that especially then introducing other people immediately is a mistake. Because then, one, they don't understand your vision, so they're not really going to see where you're going unless you're really good at articulating things like that. And two, they're going to have their own opinions, and if you cut them in, then you're going to have to listen to their opinions. And maybe you don't want to do that, which is okay, but you have to understand those things. Now, t-shirt company was not my idea. It was somebody else's. Yeah, it was somebody else's, but we were all kind of cut in on it, and then it just didn't end up going the right way. But if I had come up with that idea myself, then I probably could have just started doing all of the work myself and gotten really far on it, and at least, gotten some good legs going. But instead you have all these other working parts, and the more gears you got in a machine, the more chances for stuff to break, right? And so now I've kind of learned my lesson, and all of my business stuff is my business stuff, right? And until I get that stuff working, I'm not doing anything with any other people again, ever, right? So once my stuff is flowing and creating and, all, on autopilot essentially, then I can probably do, joint business ventures with other people and stuff like that. But until then, it's just not in the cards. And I think that it's an important lesson to learn. And I think that it's kind of a blessing that these things didn't work out, because these problems were occurring before we were making any money. So imagine if you have people who are unaccountable, or you are unaccountable, or your relationship isn't, solid as a freaking rock. And then now you got big money coming in. You got tens of thousands of dollars a month coming in. And then one person gets greedy, or, one person stops doing work and wants the same pay. And, you have all these factors. And, mistake. I'm trying to change my watch here. It doesn't really match the occasion. Here we go. But anywho, I feel like this is slightly disrespectful for the time of the viewer, but that's okay, because we're doing it anyways. There we go, and we're done. Look at that. It took 30 seconds. So, if you've got an idea, you've got a business that you want to start, be very careful about who you bring into the mix, because they may not be a great fit for what you have going on. And also, just because they're not a great fit doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they can't be your friend. It doesn't mean you can't still go golfing. You can't still hang out. You can't still grab a beer. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't make them anything worse than a person. But, sorry, I just had to fix stuff here. But it just means that they're not a good business partner. It's just not a good match for how you want to do business. And maybe that's your fault, maybe it's theirs, maybe it's a bit of both. But either way, these are things that you have to take into account before starting a business, or starting, a creative endeavor, or, building anything with someone else. You got an extra set of hands that you don't know how they work, essentially, unless you've seen them work in that kind of environment, which is most likely not the case. So take that into account. Watch out for what's going on, and also learn from your mistakes. You start going into business by yourself and you notice that you're not accountable in certain areas, then maybe it's a good idea to find someone that is accountable in those certain areas that can, kind of counteract that, right? Or if you go into business with someone and you see that they're really not accountable, then you go into business with somebody else and they're really not accountable, then understand that, okay, maybe I should just do stuff myself then, right? And make that decision and follow through with it. Cool. Sweet. So, moving on. Be wary of enticing offers that take you away from your plan. So, we've talked about we've talked about, create a plan, create a blueprint for success, and, reverse engineer where you want to go from where you want to be, or where you want to go from where you are, and create a blueprint to get you there. And then stick to it. Once you create a plan that makes sense and you've thought through the angles as much as you can, stick to it. And, sometimes things really do come up where it's like, oh, I was wrong about this and I need to amend my plan. And that can happen, of course. Of course it can. But also be careful about enticing offers. Be careful about that little sweet thing that pops up that seems like, hey, do this and it'll make everything easier. Because, as they say, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So, really, this is an emotional intelligence point. So, if you have not done the due diligence and the research on your plan, then you don't really believe in it personally. And if you don't really believe in it and you don't really understand it, then any little flyby is going to catch your attention, and it's going to get you excited and say, oh, maybe I got to go chase that. Oh, I got to go chase this. I got to go do this over here, right? And if you can just stay emotionally cool and stay on target, stay on path, stay the course, you're going to be much better off than chasing after every ball that hops through the parking lot, even though you're just trying to get to your car, right? And so, personal example of this, obviously I live in Miami, and the vacation that I talked about in the last video was I went to Marco Island. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Marco Island is on the west side of the state, and it's a very cute little fishing town, now tourist spot that is pretty much just old people, right? A lot of people from Michigan, which is where I'm from, so the vibe is very calm, it's very relaxed, it's very, like, most people have money, there's no real evidence of crime, there's no homeless, there's, it's like a freaking utopia there, man. Beautiful beaches, it's awesome, right? All the architecture is new and fashionable, and I feel safe, right? And so then I come back to Miami, and, this place has many more issues, right? There's homeless on every street corner, sometimes multiple. They're coming up to your car window, right? I come to my apartment. Actually, I got in my car the day after vacation, and it had been broken into and robbed. Luckily, I don't keep anything in there, so it doesn't really matter. But still, they took my freaking AirPods. They took my freaking half of my battery charger from my car and threw all my stuff all over the freaking place, right? And, I'm constantly worried about people trying to stab me when I'm walking through the parking lot from work or getting home or whatever, because I don't live in the greatest area, right? All that being said, immediately I'm like, dude, F Miami, man. I'm getting out of here. I'm changing the plan, because the plan was originally like getting real estate here and then building up through there. It's like, screw that. I'm moving out of here immediately. As soon as I get the chance, I'm moving to Marco, because that's where civilization is. I'm freaking tired of these savages running around here with their guns and their knives and everybody getting hurt and nobody knows how to drive and it's honking all the time and people screaming and nobody speaks freaking English. But then after a couple of days, I slowed down and I was like, you know what? I got a plan. And I don't know as much about Marco as I do about Miami. And I think it would be foolish for me to haphazardly change things just because I'm a little uncomfortable. And so now I have to kind of be careful and I have to do my research. Now, it may very well end up that Marco is a better place for me to start real estate and whatnot, right? It may end up that way, but it is important to do the work first. Do the research first and your homework so that you know what's a better option. And like I said, there may be better options that may force you to change your plan, and that's okay. But don't ever change your plan based on emotion. Do the work, figure it out. Don't let the little sweetie at the end of the table entice you to stop eating your dinner and then go over there and get it, right? You finish what you're working on and then check it out, right? So I think that really is really important, especially when it comes to business. And you could also apply that to relationships. If you have something that you're working towards, that you're building, don't let the easiest little flyby catch your attention and take you off course. What are we, animals? Like, we are higher consciousness beings that can understand that emotions are not what's going to get us to the end goal. It's going to be intelligence, it's going to be thought, it's going to be due diligence, right? Right, we burned through that one pretty quick. Cool. So, this one, kind of more of a fun one. But I had a little bit of an epiphany the other day. Because I was talking to someone about the game and about the experience of life and about like how cool it is what we get to experience living day to day. And so what I have here is enjoy the game that only you get to play with the hand that only you are dealt. And I've talked about playing with the hand you're dealt and not complaining about what you got and not comparing to what other people have started with or, started without. But I kind of had a realization that I am so fortunate and so glad that I started without money. That I started young, problem parenting, not the greatest family upbringing, not very much money ever, right? Poor money habits. Because now I get to build everything on top of that. I get to take all those meaty lessons and I get to turn it into a life trajectory that is completely different, right? And only I get to experience exactly all the bad stuff that I experienced and only all of the good stuff that I can create. That is only a me thing. Now, maybe there's some crossover some places, but I am unique in the way that I can express myself in the world, right? And so I think that really internalizing that and understanding that, like, you are one of a kind, man. You have your own experiences that make you exactly who you are, and that changes how you see the world. And so the game that you are playing, imagine the whole simulation theory as a fact. The game that you are playing is quite literally different on most levels than every other human being. How you see reality, how reality functions around you. I'm sure we will get into it at some point, but your beliefs absolutely shape your reality to some unbelievable extents, right? It changes the way that the world flows around you, right? And so embracing that instead of running from it, instead of being a victim of it, instead of being afraid of it and just embracing it, be like, dude, this is pretty awesome. It's pretty sweet that I get to experience this come up. That now, when this also kind of came from the fact that I watched an interview with, I think, Justin Bieber, and he was talking about all this stuff that he's been through, and he was talking about hate mail, how people say, yeah, cry me a river in your Rolls Royce. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, one, obviously celebrities are just human beings, and so this kid's got a rough life or had a rough life and has had a rough go of it, fame early on, whatever. But now he gets to experience from his childhood, he gets to experience this explosion of wealth, all this cool stuff, fans of the millions, right? People fucking screaming his name and breaking into his house just to touch him and stuff. He gets to experience that. And so I'm thinking that I'm not going to experience that because I'm not going to be a Justin Bieber, but I will experience some other level, some other thing. And how cool is it that I have all of these things that make me me, and then I'm going to get to the place where I got all this cool shit, right? And all these awesome experiences and all these amazing people that are around me that only I could have created that for myself, right? So I think that's something that changes the dynamic of the game you're playing. Instead of like this nasty grind, it switches it to more of like a enjoy the process kind of deal, right? Because now it's like, I get to play through this whole campaign. In the middle, or the beginning, not so great, right? But kind of fun. In the middle, getting kind of cool. We're seeing some progress. And that's all leading to the last couple chapters, which is like where the magic is, right? And so then once you get there, you'll be able to look back and be like, look at all that bullshit that I went through to get me here, right? So that's kind of just what I wanted to get through. Only I get to grow from my specific experiences. Only I can be the main character of my specific story and game. And so I think that sometimes main character syndrome gets a bad rap, and people think about it as like a narcissism or an egotistical way of viewing life. But I'd say that, like, dude, no, hell no, dude, be the main character, because you are, dude. You are the one whose decisions ultimately affect every single aspect of your life. People can sure make decisions around you that do affect you, but at the same time, only you can really change the way that your life trajectory is moving. And so embrace that. Embrace that and understand that, like, I'm the one. You're the one. You're the one, right? You're going to do it or not, but it's up to you. It's your freaking choice. And embrace that and rock and roll through it. God, we are churning and burning out this video. It might be a 30-minute. Can you believe it? I might have to toss something else fun in here just for the funsies. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Cool. All right. I am going to spike this one up a little bit, I think. Luckily, I have my spare topics here. But just to kind of recap what we've got so far, you don't always have to cut your friends in. You know, if you've got something going on, sometimes it's best to just go it alone. And that's okay. And, you know, it might be kind of scary because you don't have your support system, but it's going to be fine. You'll figure it out. It's okay, right? 2, don't immediately go after enticing offers that seem to take you away from the plan or offer you a better alternative. Just be careful. Do your homework. 2 or 3, enjoy the game that only you get to play with the hand that you are dealt. Sweet. And take that with you, man. Take that with you, because that's something that I've always had fun with, is just like, especially I'm a huge GTA fan, GTA 5 particularly, and sunk a lot of hours into that game, and I think that, like, you really can organize your life the same way that you do in that game. And, you know, creating businesses and having those businesses funnel into you, and then using that to buy cool cars and create new experiences and, you know, have fun with your friends and buy a plane and all that stuff. You can do that in real life. It just takes work. It just takes work. That's what we're all about here, man. That's what we're about, making happen, right? You just got to make it happen. So, oh, speaking in topic here, we'll add this in. Changing your behavior on a macro level is the same as character creation. If you want to change yourself or your life, you have to create a new character. Cool. Scratch that one off. So, this kind of goes in line, not so much with GTA, I guess. If you want to stay in the theme of games, I guess you can port it more to Skyrim or something like that. But character creation, because you are the character of your story. You are a character, right? And you get to create who that character is and how they express themselves. And if you want, you know, a better outcome, then you have to change the thing that makes all of the inputs. Or better output, you got to change the thing that makes all the inputs, which is you, right? And this is what I talk about changing your behavior and about learning more and about, you know, staying away from quick gratification and all these things, right? Because that's going to teach your character to be something different. And I could take this pretty far. I'm not sure if I want to. I guess we got the time. But yeah, I'm going to actually dig deep into this one, and then we'll wrap it up with the life hack. So, I've probably mentioned this a little bit, but when I was growing up, I was like kind of socially awkward, a little weird, didn't really understand social interactions. Like, I didn't understand popular people. I didn't understand, like, why certain people were seemingly at the top and then other people's weren't, when there was no inherent value in the people up there. I just didn't really get how society worked, I guess. I was very confused and kind of scared a lot. And that's how I existed for most of my life. And then I got to probably 13, 14. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm done. I'm done feeling like this. I feel like booty all the time. You know, just feeling not great. And also, like, I'm basically at the bottom of the social hierarchy. I've got a few friends here and there that ascend, but, you know, I'm still down here. And I only have, like, my small group of friends, which is fine. I like them a lot. But at the same time, like, I want access to everything else. I want to have experiences. And part of this was, like, I was halfway through high school, and I hadn't really done anything. I've been to no parties. I had no friends. other than the ones that I started with. I had gained no new friends. I had not, talked to a lot of girls. I hadn't, wasn't popular. It just wasn't the experience that I wanted. And so I was like, you know what? I got to change my life. And so I decided to create a new character. And this does not necessarily mean starting from scratch and like I'm a new person now and I act completely different. No, it's about just like changing the mannerisms that I personally considered to be me. Like the way that I pictured Nick, I had to evolve that and I had to add more stuff onto it so that I could coexist on different planes of the social hierarchy, right? So with that, I joined football, right? I started going to the gym, started eating a lot more, right? And then it changed a lot of things about not my personality, I guess, but like how I express myself and how confident I am. I had to really work on my confidence, especially when I started out nerdy and, you got to break into the social circles and immediately they're not always welcoming of outsiders. And so you got to just be comfortable with getting to know and, just me do my own thing and be comfortable, like, hearing shit about me that isn't good. But I'm cool, and as long as you stay cool, like, people think you're cool, and you think you're cool, which is more important, right? So, that's what I had to do, and it actually worked. It ended up working really well, and I would say that I'm very happy with my experience of high school after the change, and I would say that it definitely set me on a path for understanding personal expression and whatnot. But that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do, and you can do that to any extent. Like I've definitely mentioned this about like I've changed my laugh numerous times, like to make it better. I've changed the way that I walk. I've changed the way that I position my shoulders when I'm standing. But you got to work on these things, and you can create yourself to be like your own work of art, and not in a way that is pretending, but in really becoming. This is the seeming versus being that I think will be in a future episode very soon, but becoming the thing that you wish that you were. And then suddenly you are that thing, and then there's more things that you want to add on. And in doing so, you will find this path that is so enlightening, that is so grandiose and again purposeful that you're really pushing yourself in new dimensions, right? It's kind of like right now, like I know for a fact that something that really scares me is dancing and singing. Actually, expressing myself in those two ways has always been awkward for me, and I know that the resistance that I feel to those two things, that if I was to push beyond that, it would create a whole new character. Like in my mind, I would completely change in who I am, right? But it's just the resistance that you got to get over, right? But it can be done, and it should be done. And in doing so, you will get much more out of life, and you'll get access to, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Changing your behavior on a macro is the same as changing character creation. Yeah, so you change your behavior, and you keep changing, and eventually you are a character that you like. Whatever. I'm losing steam here. I feel like I was all juiced up about that last video that I did, and then I get into this one, and I'm a little bit like, I was more excited about the experiment, and now we're getting back to like the real meaty stuff. So forgive me, viewers. But with that being said, we'll jump into the life hack, and then I guess we'll cut this baddie a little shouty. Cool. So life hack for me today, right now. Look good, feel good. Cool. Seems pretty simple. I think I've talked about this before about like clean up your appearance and take care of your skin and whatnot. But this whole look good and feel good part is something that I've really started to realize again. And when I was younger, I kind of got it because I would, especially when I started working, I could buy myself nicer clothes and express myself better and look cleaner and stuff like that. Better haircuts and whatnot. And then for a long time, I was pretty bone broke, so I was just bare minimum stuff, floating off the old stuff that I had. And then I moved here, and I threw pretty much everything I own in the trash. I gave away as much as I could, but at the end of the day, there were some time constraints, and I had to just pretty much dumpster everything. So that stopped, and I pretty much was only wearing old t-shirts and raggy jeans forever. But now I finally made it back to where I can wear nicer clothes that I've been able to purchase, luckily, through getting better jobs and whatnot. And now I have more jewelry, and I've been buying more watches and things like that, trying to go on this long watch journey. But I will say that in doing that, in buying things that I can use to express myself further, and trimming my beard in different ways, and trying different hairstyles, and cutting my hair, and taking care of my skin, and doing face masks, and trimming my eyebrows, and making sure that I trim the nose hair on the inside of my nose right here that you can see, and making sure my mustache doesn't hang too far. Trimming everything up, being clean, wearing clean clothes, looking nice. It makes me feel so much better. It makes me feel so much better. And I even notice that, like, when it's my days off and I wear, nice clothing, I feel so much more myself, and I feel so much more free and comfortable, and like I'm going somewhere, like I am something already. And then I go back to work and I'm wearing, like, my jeans and a t-shirt, and then I miss it. But the point is that I look good and I feel good. So I would say invest in your appearance. And this also comes with exercise, man. You want to look even better in your clothes? Get some delts popping out there, boy. Get some bigger arms, right? Thicken up that neck. Dude, do some push-ups, dog. Do some squats. You want to make yourself feel even better. One is the health benefits and psychological benefits of exercise. But 3 is the freaking filling out your clothes, and people looking at you, and you seeing yourself in the mirror, right? Because obviously, like I have a moderately sized ego, so I do enjoy attention, of course. But that being said, me being proud of the image that I've constructed and that I continue to construct every single day, like, excites me beyond no end, right? Like even right now, when I can see a little bit of that upper chest glistening in the light, like, that's something that I didn't have before. My whole freaking life, it was impossible for me to get anything up here, right? My chest when I was younger was actually deep. Like, my sternum stuck out further than my chest muscles. I was so damn skinny. But we've worked and we've gotten it, and so I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor, and I feel better because of it. So take care of your appearance, look good, feel good. And that comes with confidence as well. And so you're going to end up being even more confident and charismatic and everything. All this stuff translates back into itself. So that's what I got to say. Invest in how you look. Try new things out. Find your style. Buy clothes. Even if you're not sure. Buy clothes. Wear them. If you don't like them, take them back. Right? But find your style to where you're really comfortable, where you like to exist within, and then maybe try something that you don't like, but accept it as a different version and stuff like that. But that's my life hack. Look good, feel good. That's Uncle Nick coming at you, Big Brother Nick, giving you with the good wisdom. Put it to the test and tell me I'm right or tell me I'm wrong. But either way, tell me. Either way. But that's kind of all I got, guys. A little shorter than I usually like, but that's okay. Sometimes we get through these faster than others, and I'd rather not beat myself up, and I'd rather not waste your time by going as I already did. So we will file this bad boy in the already recorded section, and we'll rock and roll out of here. We'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. I appreciate you. Tell your friends, tell your uncle, tell your coworkers about me. I'd be glad to hear from them too. And that's what I got. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick out.